It is fall here in Payne County, and you have tuned in to another episode of the Pastors of Payne podcast and radio show here on Heat FM in God's country, Stillwater, America. It is a beautiful season, and we are down one pastor. So, when we lose a priest for travel or vacation or funerals or weddings, or just because they don't want to be on the show with me, we have to substitute somebody in. And we sometimes we think, should we get Jay on here, or our DJ? And we think, no, it's probably a bad idea. Jay may say something. So we always just grab one of the people that we know that can be entertaining. And so our guest this time, I'll give you some secrets. It's like the game Guess Who, where you're flipping the little cards and you got them. Does your guy have pink hair? No. Does your guy wear glasses? No. Does your guy have brown hair? Yes. So, do you remember the game Guess Who, Clayton?
Yeah, I remember.
Do you really remember it? Did you play it as a kid?
Yes, I played it as a kid. I played it as a kid. Yeah.
How often?
My sister's 6 years younger than me, so every now and again I was a lot better at it than her, but just the two of us growing up, so I won all the time. But
do you only have one sibling?
Just one sibling.
Sister,
Caroline.
Whoa.
So I'll send this to her. She's a sophomore at the University of Arkansas. Caroline, I love you. So.
And baby Joseph, your little son, has a sibling.
He does have a sibling, a 12-week-old sibling in the gestation period. So, we're having another baby due April 18th.
Whoa, 2 kids born in Stillwater?
That's 2. 2 born in Stillwater, 2 hopefully baptized by Father Kerry.
Yeah!
So they're doing okay in life.
If they're born in God's country and they get baptized, they win at everything.
They're good to go.
They're good to go forever. We'll just hand them the keys to the kingdom now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Just so the good people of God know, you are a missionary. How'd that happen? Just give them a low down nitty gritty.
Well, I didn't introduce myself yet, but my name is Clayton Caldwell, the team director for the FOCUS Missionaries at St. John Catholic Student Center.
Yeah, go Pokes.
My 3rd year. So
3 years you've been here?
This is my third. I'm in my 3rd year. So my grandpa, when he would always say whenever he had a birthday, he'd be turning 88, but he'd tell people that he was in his 89th year. Or I was like, Papa, you're 88. He goes, I'm in my 89th year. So anyways, I'm in my 3rd year here.
Whoa.
But we love it. So I did a podcast with Father Kerry, I guess a year or 2 ago?
I don't remember.
It was a long time ago. I thought he was never going to invite me back.
What?
And he texted me last night.
No, not last night. It was a day ago, wasn't it?
It was a day ago. Yeah,
Yesterday was a day ago.
I'll give you that. I woke up to the text. Or maybe it was yesterday. I woke up to the text. Anyways, we're here. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to be here. We're really glad you're here. And we have this topic that we're going to go. There was a gospel a couple of weeks ago. It was the Sunday gospel. And it says, the line is, Jesus says, if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. If your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. If your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It is better to enter the kingdom of God with no eye, no hand, no foot than to go into Gehenna with all your attachments. And I hear that gospel and one, how does my foot cause me to sin? Kicking other people down, I guess. But the Lord Jesus, when he talks about the 10 Commandments and the sort of things, he's like, they got to be written more in your heart than they do externally and visibly, so that they become sort of the operating system for your life. And this line from the gospel, I mean, is the Lord literal in this? Well, he also says, hate your father and mother. But if you hate your father and mother, you what? You violate the What commandment, Clayton?
The fourth.
Ooh, he knows the commandments? Oh, I should have held up two fingers.
You also held up the number 4 in front of me.
I held up the number 4 over here because I was thinking, and when I thought I did it, because I was going to say the fourth commandment, and then I asked you. And, okay, so he doesn't. He's not intending on saying hate them. What do you think he's saying when he says like cut off your foot, cut off your hand, pluck out your eye?
Well, I've always taken it very literally, so now this is something new that I'm hearing from you right now. But
you think you take it literally to maim yourself?
No, I'm just kidding. I think I
was like, oh no,
I shouldn't have asked this guy.
We're already 6 minutes into this.
We'll get Jay on here. We'll get Jay on.
Jay, come on in here.
I was kind of thinking about it this morning after you kind of asked me. You told me that we were gonna be doing this podcast. Like, what does the Lord actually mean here? And talking about custody of the eyes, but I think more so just custody of the senses. And if you're not able to listen to something without thinking of this or thinking of that, or if you're listening to something that's going to cause tempt you into evil thoughts or impure thoughts, like whatever it may be, it needs to be cut off from your life entirely. So a lot of times we tend to blanking on the word compromise with different things and we're like, it's kind of okay. And so I'm not, I'm listening to this, or I'm looking at that, or I'm doing this thing, and it's like, it's not maybe necessarily directly causing me to sin right now, but maybe it will in the future. So I'm just going to compromise a little bit. I think that's what Jesus is saying, is like, if these things are causing you to compromise with evil, they need to be cut out entirely.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about just like the custody of the eyeballs. And I think we, and I've come to see it, is that if we don't watch what we put in through our eyeballs, then we get we get this toxic heart and this toxic soul. I think even in like watching the news. I mean, there's some news that's like very beneficial. I watch the weather. I watch Oklahoma City and Tulsa news. I read the newspapers. But if you just watch it all day long, or you even watch like the attacks that people put against each other in the news media, then like what goes into your eyeballs and stays in your brain, and it's hard to forget certain things.
Yep.
Like I think it was like it's like the Good Friday shooting in Tulsa. Like I think or is it the Easter Sunday shooting in Tulsa? Like I saw that on the news, and it stayed in there in my brain. Or just like as a kid, seeing the Iran-Iraq war when I was a kid, watching missiles being fired at each other. Even as a kid, the Iran-Iraq war was in the 70s and 80s, I think. But you can't forget those things. They don't just like get out.
Yep.
And so there's this like custody of the eyeballs.
Yeah. I think it's commonplace to wake up in the morning and turn on the news and just kind of have that going in the background while you're making your coffee, eating your breakfast, getting the kids ready for school. My son's 1, so he's not in school yet, but getting him ready for the day, changing a diaper. It's common to just kind of have something going on in the background that you're absorbing, or at least partially absorbing, either consciously or maybe subconsciously, if it's just kind of words coming in the background. You don't really know what they're saying, but they're still kind of speaking at you. It's also commonplace to, right before you go to bed, to do the same thing, to kind of, as you're winding down, to flip on the television, and whether it's sports or entertainment or the news, whatever it might be, it's just we're absorbing these things kind of passively before we go to bed. And I really love every Wednesday, we have a staff meeting with Father Kerry, and he's been giving us some meditations by Pope Benedict XVI.
Oh yeah.
We start off our days with just his general audiences from, I think, the year 2012, the year on faith. And so every morning we're reading about faith as a staff. We go through, it's like a 2 or 3 page meditation, and then afterwards on our way to staff meeting, we walk across the street and we share with another person. And it's like we get to start off our meeting as a team. We get to start off our days with the words of Pope Benedict XVI, who's still alive, but will probably be a saint one day. And so, we have to make this conscious decision. Am I going to passively allow these things to kind of come into my mind, through my eyeballs, through my ears, through my senses? Or am I going to make the active choice to say, I want to be aware of the news and aware of what's going on in the world, but first thing in the morning, how do I turn my gaze to something else?
Yeah. The invasive, I think it's on the door of Hideaway. Like they have this little sign that says like things that please don't do. And one is like invasive telephone stuff. Or like the noise that is just being produced. It's like it's harassing other people. Yeah, just the custody of the eye. So there's that. There's this. So like what do we do with them then? I was with some monks one time, and they're awesome monks, and I realized that they were like looking at this, like as I'm talking to them eyeball to eyeball, they would look just above my head, or just to the left, or just to the right. Well, like never make eye contact. And I thought, okay, this is strange. Like these guys I know. Yeah. Like why wouldn't they look me dead in the eye? And it's they look down, they would look up, they just wouldn't look me right in the eye. And it is how to control our eyes. How to control those senses, those fleshy things, because they're windows to the soul. I mean, they're feeding our mind, and therefore our memory and our imagination, and with stuff. And if you're constantly looking at things, those things are going to go in there.
And I feel like, Father, we're living in a time where it's harder than ever to have custody of the eyes, to have custody of the senses, because we live in an age of noise. There's constantly a notification popping up on your phone. We have a limitless ability to kind of engage with any sort of anything that we ever want to look up or hear about or know about or see. Oh, yeah. We have the ability to look that up ourselves, but it also has the ability to just kind of come to us without us even trying. You walk down the street, people are on their phones, there's music going, there's TVs everywhere. It's like, how do you in 21st century modern America, yes, how do you have custody of the eyes? What do you have to do?
Wow. Okay. Oh, well, yeah, it is hard. I mean, it takes a firm act of the will to say, I want to say no to this stuff because there's something better.
Right.
There's something better that I really want to bring in. I'm going to literally like pluck my eye out. I'm going to cut off my hand. I'm going to cut off my foot so that I can have something better. Mm-hmm. Something that's not, I'm going to be kind of debilitated in a way. But there's something more beautiful that I'm going to receive from this custody of the senses, and I think that's what they did in the monasteries. When I was at Conception Abbey, saying there would be religious images everywhere. You'd be cruising through the monastery and it'll be like religious image and statue, and this like beautiful window that looks out upon a vineyard or an orchard. And those things really like brought great joy. You see the lives of the saints. You see like this cloud with the North American martyrs in Auriesville, New York. And you just start to think, then your mind starts to think about these things. And it's I think it's unfortunate that as we just inundate our senses with, noise, that we lose on the true beauty. There was that thing the other day when we read it about Pope Benedict, and he talked about he referenced St. Augustine, and St. Augustine looks to the heavens and says, "Tell me about you." And he looks to the trees and he says, "Tell me about you." Mm-hmm. And he looks to the ocean and he says, "Tell me about you." But that's not like when we're just getting like bombarded with, social media or videos, or you said like literally anything. If I want to watch the 1985 Kansas City Royals, game-winning hits.
10 seconds.
I can find it.
10 seconds. It's on your phone.
Boom, it's there.
Yeah.
And I think it's doing an injustice to our minds. It's doing an injustice to the divine life that is in us. That God has sown himself, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit have made a home inside of me. And I'm doing an injustice to this awesome life that they have given me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Reagan and I, we've made a big effort. Reagan is my wife back at home, taking care of baby Joseph right now. We've made a huge effort to try and make our home a sacred space. Because kind of like you're saying, you go to these different monasteries, even the rectory. There's beautiful images. It's simple, and you can walk in there, and it's a place of peace. And you can turn your head any which direction. You're placing your eyes on a holy image. And so we try to replicate that at our house, because when we walk out of our doors and onto Washington Street, or at Eskimo Joe's, like wherever we are, there's noise that just bombards. And so it's like we have to have a space that we go back to where it's like, okay, now I'm in a place of peace. I'm in a place of tranquility. I'm in a place of simplicity and encounter with God. And Greg and I were both 25 years old, so we've kind of grown up around technology. There's a great picture of me when I'm 5 years old. I'm in my pajamas. I just got done showering, and I'm at this like massive computer in our living room playing some sort of a game. But it was like my first home computer that I could play games on. I was like 5 years old in our first home. And so I look at that photo, I'm like, I've literally, my parents talk about, the age before the internet, we had to go to a library and like look stuff up. But it's like everything has kind of always been at my fingertips. And so in a lot of ways, that, kind of life, it's just ingrained in me. It's just a part of me. And it's really like a hard habit for me to break and kind of detach from the world of noise which seeks to invade, and I have to make conscious efforts. And so when we're at the house, Reagan and I will do things like, if there's a game on the weekend, we'll go and we'll plug in our TV, and we'll have some people over and we'll watch the game.
Wait, I'm sorry. You'll go and plug in your TV?
We'll plug in the TV, because then when we're done, we like to make it a habit to take the TV out and go place it somewhere else. Otherwise, it's hard for us. Like if it's right there in front of me, that's just kind of what I've always done. Is like when I'm not doing anything,
no.
I'll sit in front of it, or I'll pull my phone out and just look at something on my phone. It's so ingrained that I have to do these things that are a lot different, maybe abnormal, in order to kind of break that habit of just going right for that thing when I have, quote unquote, nothing else to do.
Would you call that custody of the fingertip? You're like, click on.
Custody of the Roku, custody of the iPhone, all the things.
Oh, yeah, because like the custody of the fingertip, it's like if your fingertip causes you to sin, grind it down with a bench grinder.
Yeah. If your iPhone causes you to sin, delete the internet. Delete all your apps, So, which a lot of times is really annoying, but then I have to remind myself, I'll live, it's only temporary. Yeah,
there's a good to, like, I think sitting around watching football. Like,
Definitely.
When Maggie Dahl had her engagement party here in Stillwater, where she is getting wed to your brother-in-law.
My brother-in-law.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How did that happen? That's a whole nother story.
This whole thing. How young, podcast on that.
That would take 4 podcasts. But it was just like sitting around. We were watching not the Masters, not the what's that thing where Europe and the United States playing?
The Ryder Cup.
We always get our butts kicked.
Yeah.
The Ryder Cup. Of just watching the Ryder Cup with a bunch of people who appreciate golf. Like Father Gail Hammerschmidt was there, and your brother-in-laws were there, and your parents were there.
Family.
It was just like to sit around and talk about like the beauty of golf and know that the professionals sometimes play out in the trees too, like I do.
Not as much as you do, but they do end up there sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that guy who hit that ball like right on the edge and shot it straight up in the air and back down. Who was that?
That was Jordan Spieth.
Oh, your high school classmate and golf teammate. Yeah, like that ball. I was like, I can do that.
Not on purpose. But you can do it.
Yeah. So there is this beauty to it, and I think there's I was just thinking about like things of the custody of the eyes. Like there is a beauty to like an automobile. There is a beauty to the human figure that one can look at. Michelangelo, he would carve those statues based on the features of a human person. Mm-hmm. There is, we were talking about the SR-71. There's an SR-70, you don't know, sorry. He just got this blank look. The SR-71 Blackbird, one of the only ones in complete structure, is up in Hutchinson, Kansas. So I'm taking a bunch of dudes on a road trip in December, myself and Tanner. We're going to go up there. There's a beauty to the SR-71 Blackbird. It's amazing looking. There's a beauty to these things. There's a beauty to looking at somebody else's faith life and saying, wow, they have a really rich faith life. But I think what we have to pluck out is that when we look at another person's car, we like, why do they get that and I don't? Mm-hmm. Why is it they're privileged to that and I am not? Why do they have a Corvette Stingray and I don't? Or a 62 two-door hardtop Chevy Impala that I've always wanted. Teardrop. Or you look at another person, the beauty of another person, and you say, now there's the lust that like starts to roll. Or the beauty of the airplane. It's like, what? I was kind of jealous of Tanner because Tanner gets to work on jet engines, and that's what I wanted to do. But there's also, it's not that competition. Or the beauty of another person's prayer life. We look at them and we're like, their prayer life is so great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like an envy, custody of the eyes. Like you're looking around at everything and then desiring, kind of like lusting after everything. And that's what happens. Your eyeballs start going here, they start going there, they start going here, they start going there, and you're like, I don't have that, I want that, I'm not like that, I should be more like that, or you just, you're passively sitting in front of a screen, just consuming another person's life. We have to be aware of that. We have to focus. Like, what are we actually looking at with our hearts? Are we is our heart looking at this thing? Do we desire this more than the more than we desire God? We have to center ourselves.
Is that? Would you say that there's like the social media sort of amplifies that or inflames that lack of custody of the eyes?
I mean,
and then starts to perpetuate those things that you just listed? Absolutely.
Well, I feel like it's the whole culture that, they secular media we'll talk about nowadays is just the comparison on Instagram and the fact that people, they put photos in a way on there that make their lives seem a lot better than they actually are. They're posting the highlights, not just the normal days. And so you have, a 13, 14-year-old girl that's just looking at somebody else's life thinking, wow, she's, so much more beautiful than me. She has such a better life than me. I need to be more like that. And there's just, that's the evil one, just making you feel horrible about yourself. So, absolutely perpetuates it. So TikTok, the worst.
Really?
The worst.
Go on. Here's your soapbox.
Don't get me wrong. I love TikTok. I like whenever I see someone on TikTok, I'm like, give me that. I want to look at TikTok, and I scroll through just because it's so addicting. Like the videos are hilarious, and my sister will tell me that they have this just algorithm that knows you perfectly and starts giving you these videos that are just like fine-tuned to you. So you can go on somebody else's TikTok and just be like, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you looking at? But
because you can look at somebody else's TikTok and know what they've been watching. You can know what they've been watching. Because of the algorithms.
Because of the algorithm.
Algorithms.
Algorithm.
Algorithms.
The algorithm. But yeah, TikTok, there's an endless scroll. All the social media apps have an endless scroll nowadays, but TikTok, 10-second videos, it's like Vine. back when I was like in high school. Like
Oh,
Vine,
yeah.
Vine was the big thing. TikTok is like Vine on steroids.
Yeah,
So,
well, on crack.
on crack.
It is super addictive. I mean, they know that's they know how the brain works, and then they just pump all this stuff into our eyeballs.
Have you seen Social Dilemma?
I have not.
You should watch it.
Why? Why should I
You
watch it? Go ahead,
It's really well done. It's a great Netflix documentary, but it takes, the guys that made it are from Facebook, they're from Instagram, they're from Twitter, they're from all these major social media outlets that have since left or quit because of what they've seen it do to people. But it's really well done. It kind of like follows. It's kind of a fake like a mockumentary, I guess, of this
I
one.
love mockumentaries.
Yeah. Like, maybe that's not the right word, but it kind of follows the story of this one teenage boy's life on social media. But in it talks about the algorithms that they use. It talks about what they're trying to do to a person, like how they're trying to place ads, like how they're discovering information, and kind of like the data that they gather on you in order to be able to bombard you with exactly what is going to make you lust after it, make you desire this or that. They know exactly where your heart is at, and so they can just take kind of control of you in that way. They want you to look at it, and they want you to look at it more and more and more and more. And so custody of the eyes is, how can you have that when this thing is specifically designed to do the exact opposite to you?
You're trying to, I'm trying to be careful, and they're trying to make you be lured in.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is it is the perfect thing. They, oh gosh, what is the name of that book? It's designed, what's the name of the book? I read it a couple of years ago. Designed by Purpose or something like that, of like the colors on signs, on food signs, of like why they're designed that way, why the thing scrolls up and down like slot machines, why these colors and sounds are made this way. And now with the algorithms, they know what you've previously clicked on. They can go in and see, and they follow a little trail, and they go, bam. And so I think there is, I really need for custody of the fingertip. If your fingertip causes you to sin, grind it down.
Grind it down.
Take a bench grinder to it. That sounds like a slow, painful. If your eyeball causes you to sin, pluck it out and put it on a golf tee and let Clayton smack it.
Yep. I'll hit it far.
Hit it real far.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your foot causes you to sin, that's what Jesus says. Like, to kick each other down.
Yep.
Like, push each other down, to step on another person to get ahead.
Yeah. And there's ways too, if you're not able to cut it out of your life completely, not that it's super, you need to get rid of it completely, but there's ways to set restrictions and kind of have another person say like, okay, you're only allowed on your phone 10 minutes a day. Because I know people, I was guilty of this myself. I'd put on my phone myself, like, we have 10 minutes to look at Instagram today, and then I would just hit in the password and keep going. So that would be one way to kind of cut it off and say, I'm not going to get rid of this completely, but it's under control.
It's under control by somebody else.
By somebody else, yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple passwords on other people's phones. Mm-hmm. I've forgotten them, so we'll see how it goes. Wow. Okay. The Lord Jesus, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. If your foot causes you to sin, lop it off. It's better to go into the kingdom of God maimed than into Gehenna with all your appendages. Yeah, and so I think it was a good discussion on like how it's written more deeply into the human heart of even those spiritual things of plucking them out and cutting them off, and just like the custody of the eyes. Let's start there. And if you're having trouble with custody of the eyes, get a sidekick. Someone who will help you poke you in the eyeball occasionally and keep your eyeballs clean and fun and fresh. Wow. Okay. That is another episode of the Pastors of Pain. Thank you, Clayton Caldwell.
Thank you, Father.
And say a prayer for Father O'Brien's family and his safe travels. Peace.